So we skipped the first part of this lesson, but find where we're at and pause the video until you get there. So you're going to find at least 3 solutions, which means 3 points on the line to the equation y equals 3x plus 1, and graph the solutions as coordinates, as points on the coordinate plane. I'm not going to have you actually graph them on here. We'll do that later on in the lesson. But if we look at this equation, y equals 3x plus 1, I can pick whatever points I want to for x. So if I want to say x equals 1, 3, and 5, I just substitute those in. So y equals 3 times 1, that was my first x coordinate, plus 1. It's 3 plus 1, which equals 4. So one of my coordinates is going to be 1, 4. Another one of my x coordinates was 3. So y equals 3 times 3 plus 1, which equals 9 plus 1, which equals 10. My second coordinate on the line would be, or solution, would be 3, 10. And my last one was 5. So y equals 3 times 5 plus 1, which equals 15, plus 1, which equals 16. So my final for the coordinates would be 5, 16. If I used any of these points to find the slope using my equation, I would still have a slope of 3. That is going to be our locator, whatever we're multiplying that x by when we have y equals. That's how we're going to find our slope. So here, the graph of the equation y equals 7x minus 3 has what slope? Because this is already in slope-intercept form, meaning it has y equals a number times x and then a constant at the end, we can look at this and say our slope is equal to 7. Here, we have y equals negative 3x minus 3, our slope here, because we're looking at what's being multiplied by the x, m equals negative 3/4. And looking at number 6, you have $20 in savings at the bank. Each week you add $2 to your savings. Let y represent the total amount of money you saved at the end of x weeks. Write an equation to represent the situation and identify the slope of the equation. What does the number represent? So before we start worrying about slope, we need to figure out how we can represent this. So y is going to be the total amount of money we saved, and that is equal to, we have to think about, okay, $2 each week, and we start with $20. So if we do $2 times w weeks, which we're actually going to use an x there, because it doesn't matter a variable, plus the $20 we started with, that will represent our equation for the situation. And it says identify the slope. We have a y equals equation, so our slope is whatever we're multiplying by our x, so the slope equals 2. And what does that number represent? The slope represents that we add $2 to the savings account each week. So I want you to pause the video and write out the equation for number 7, and then I will jump in and we'll go from there. So this one was a little bit different because it didn't give us a slope. It didn't tell us how much it changed. It said we could do 4 miles in 28 minutes. So with our slope, we have to remember it's the change in the y over the change in the x. So the y over the x, it says distance is y, so I put 4 in the numerator. Minutes is x, so I put it in the denominator, so it matches over here. 4/28 is the same thing as 1/7. So she can run 1 mile in 7 minutes, so that's what that equation tells us, and our slope could be 1/7 or 4/28. Either one would work out for that.